One, of course, is a year that none of us will ever forget. Major events changed the way we view our world and also changed the way we use the internet to communicate and do our work. Taking a look back at the evolution of the internet this past year, T.S. Kelly, director and principal analyst with Net Ratings, joins us. Thanks so much for joining us today, T.S.
Hey there, Michaela.
Well, undoubtedly the biggest event to impact not only the world, but specifically the internet this past year, the attacks of September 11th. How exactly did the internet evolve and change after that?
Well, that day really affected so many parts of our lives, online included. That first day alone, any given day prior to that, you would expect in the home about 37 million people would go online, do all sorts of things. That day, traffic dropped about 10%, but those that did go online, there was this polarization effect. All their normal routines as far as purchasing, shopping, checking sports sites changed, and they started going focused specifically on news sites, the day-to-day happenings of what was going on related to the events both in New York and Washington, D.C.
So it seems as though in time since then, more of us are paying more credence and giving more attention to the internet. Although
Right.
It seems that U.S. internet growth has slowed to 6%. 55% of our households now have access to the web, and more of those people are spending more time online. Talk about some of those differences in the numbers.
Well, first off, we experienced so much growth in the mid and late 90s, so a cool down of some sort was certainly expected. We're at 55% now. 45%, or the remaining 45%, is going to take a little bit more to get those folks online. But the changes that we've seen most recently is that there's this shift in interest, not so much on building traffic, but certainly sustaining share. And those that are online are doing it more often. And as a matter of fact, the numbers tell us about 14% more sessions, so they're spending more time online, about 32 on average per month, about 17 hours a month online, which again is up 14%, and then again lots more content being consumed as well.
Broadband and streaming media certainly winners this year. More than 20 million people had broadband connections. More than 40 million people streamed some kind of media. What do you think the future of multimedia online looks like from where you're sitting at this point?
Well, first tackling the broadband issue, we've seen so many different issues, discussions in the FCC, Congress about regulating, deregulating. There's a lot of things that affect broadband's growth, both the pricing, which is stabilized, which isn't good for growth, and most definitely. And like cable, we're dealing with quality of service and availability, as well as just the type of content. There isn't that killer app out there,
right.
So broadband is challenged, at least in the 2002-2003 segment. But we have seen incremental growth with just what's out there.
Well, speaking of growth, we know that the global internet audience has grown to 250 million people. Do you think overall the internet has become more global?
Oh, most definitely. We're in a bit of a more advanced stage. Just like any other product, hairspray, soda, what have you, the product was much more of a commonplace here in the United States. Globally, Europe, perhaps the Asian sector, a couple steps behind us. They're a little more focused on wireless than we are here in the United States, so that has a lot to play into it. But their behavior right now is almost like what it was prior to the bubble bursting.
Right. Well, we know that this slowing economy has had its toll on so many sectors, in particular the e-commerce sector. But despite that, e-commerce actually ended on a positive note. What do you attribute that to?
$59 billion spent in 2001.
Unbelievable.
It was up 44%. So you think about what we were seeing in 2001 prior to September. We saw double and triple digit growth month to month in the summer months. So people were looking at it and saying, you know, fourth quarter could be pretty good. Then certain things happened and the fourth quarter cooled down a bit and ended well. E-commerce has so many parts of our lives. I mean, if we look at our numbers, a good 30% of all commerce in 2001 was focused on travel alone. So the events of September had a significant effect on that, but still rebounded quite nicely. And then second, we have auctions with about 10%. And again, that comes to, again, $59 billion. So regardless of the events, regardless of the commerce, there are so many things that have changed our behavior over the course of the evolution of the internet from the mid-90s to today. We're not going to change over just a few events or just even a downturn in the economy.
Absolutely. Well, I think a lot of people probably turn to the internet to do a lot of those shopping, a lot of travel planning, etc., because of the events of September 11th. My last question for you is, how do you think the overall consumer experience has changed online?
That's a great question. we've had challenges in years past, the Toys R Us delivery issues, customer service. The shift, slow shift, there's still those issues out there, but the slow shift now is to very similar to the things that you would expect when you walk into a store.
Right.
Is the shirt there that I'm looking for? And also, what's the experience of going in there? So a lot of the questions and issues that consumers have online now are focused on inventory and whether or not the product's available and whether or not even the site is working. Secondary are still those issues of delivery and customer service, but we see that slight shift in satisfaction, a little bit of uptick there, but more in the experience versus the delivery and customer service from years past.
Well, so much more still to come. Certainly, as one person said here on Tech Live not too long ago, we're probably only in the second inning of a seven-inning ball game. So,
well, we're on the mound pitching those balls ourselves. So yes.
Right. Thanks so much for joining us today, T.S.
Happy holidays.
All right, T.S. Kelly is Director and Principal Analyst with Net Rating.